DCSL Corporate Services Limited, in collaboration with Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, hosted a roundtable to discuss the practical challenges to the implementation of the Employees Compensation Act of 2010. It brought together stakeholders from various sectors to brainstorm on the provisions of the ECA. Key players speak on the implications of the Act and the value of the roundtable.
Well, it's a lot different from the Workplace Compensation Act in terms of coverage, in terms of essence, and in terms of social protection element. In terms of coverage, it covers more than just those you define as workers in terms of blue collar workers. No, it goes the whole gamut. Anyone who is in employment is covered, whether you're a chief executive or a laborer. So the coverage is all-encompassing, both public and private sector and informal sector. And then in terms of also benefits, the benefits are not lump sum payment and once and for all, subject to you proving that you are not negligent. Ours is a no-fault scheme, and then the benefit is not only lump sum. There is the hospitalization aspect. There is rehabilitation. If you need rehabilitation, we also provide surgical services. We provide counseling for those who are psychologically distressed as a result of their disability or illness. And beyond that, for those who are deceased, their dependents are not left hanging. For the spouse will continue to be on allowance for the rest of his or her life. And for the children, they'll be on allowance, scholarship, up to the age of 21 or when they graduate, whichever comes first. The Workmen's Compensation Act did not have that. Besides, the Workmen's Compensation Act was also restrictive in its definition of workplace. Workplace is only the premises of work. Under our own act, it goes beyond the workplace. Here is workplace for us. This is not where we normally work, but we're here in the course of our work. So the definition extends to in the course of work, which may be while you're commuting to work or while from work you're going home or when you come for a conference or when you go on a tour. So if you look at all of this together, the Employees Compensation Act is by far better than the Workmen's Compensation Act.
As a board, the analysis is that you're very powerful, and I don't like to clarify that. Are you regulated or just a self-regulatory board?
No government agency is self-regulating. If the board is powerful, its powers are subject to regulation of government. After all, the board is constituted by government. The board itself is supervised by the Minister of Labour, and if you go and check the powers of the Minister of Labour, they supersede that of the board of NSITF. If the board of NSITF is found wanting, they can be dissolved, just such as it has happened before. So all this thing about the board being all-powerful is powerful to the extent of checks and balances. You have the National Assembly, the Committee on Labour and Productivity of House of Representatives, and also the Senate coming to have oversight function on the board. So how powerful can it be? Its powers are subject to superior powers. It cannot be an alpha and omega, because you also have the Fiscal Responsibility Commission that is there to ensure that finances are in line with government regulations, and so on and so forth. So its powers are relative to your perception of how it is. Yeah.
My basic recommendation for effectiveness of Employee Compensation Act 2010 is for National Assembly to quickly amend the act, because there are some shortcomings that need to be properly reconsidered. That's one. Two, the board has to be alive to its responsibility, because the act empowers the board to implement most of the provisions in the act, and for this to happen, the act has to make employers comply. And basically, the employees need to be properly guided, and there's need for more awareness, because the employees themselves have a role to play, because they can encourage their employers to make a case for them, And for instance, there's some gaps. Part of the gap is that the employee is not sure of the actual time to receive the compensation. The Act has not clearly specified that. This is part of what should be corrected if the amendment is considered by the National Assembly. I think when these are done, and also the Trade Union, Employers Association, and students, because students will become employees, someday. Awareness campaign everywhere, and people in the informal sector has to be carried along. Then the implementation at state level is important. Implementation at local government is important because it's a basic policy that should provide social protection for employees. And when that happens, Nigerian society will develop further.
Well, I think the important thing is that why did we decide to collaborate with them? We decided to collaborate with them because as an institution, we've looked at the ECA and we think that there are a few shortcomings. We've also discussed with NSITF and we found that perhaps there's a gap between the implementation of it and what the Act says. So whilst the NSITF believes that the Act is being implemented as it should, from talking to a lot of our clients and the practitioners in the industry, it does seem as if there's that gap. So that's why we decided to organize this stakeholders roundtable to give the NSITF the opportunity to explain how the Act works and also for it to get feedback from practitioners. So yes, we're happy that this has happened and we're happy with the feedback that we're getting thus far.
As a corporate services limited, what would be your recommendations for an effective ECA, considering the fact that you consult with various companies across sectors?
Okay, I think the two major issues are around the contribution and the powers of the board. So right now, there's no clear-cut way of calculating the 1%, and indeed, should it just be 1%? Because there are loopholes as to can the board come back and do a reassessment based on the identified risk of your business, and also the powers of the board. We think that the powers of the board are too wide, and so perhaps maybe if we're going to be thinking of an amendment, it should be an amendment in the sense of trying to create some oversight, some additional oversight for the board, so that the board is not a super board, as it were.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zedere. With the evolution of the Workers' Compensation Decree from 1958 to the Employee Compensation Act of 2010, it is expected that the Nigerian worker, irrespective of the public or private sector, will be duly compensated in the event of a calamity on the job.